Welcome back to What's the Obsession True Crime, where you'll find all of the true crime facts and none of the true crime fiction. We're not here to waste your time, no. We're here to take you on a true crime deep dive in a way that only What's the Obsession does. And hey, welcome. We're so glad you're here. Welcome back to
better check for
They are dead on that.
All in the blind spot that we don't see. Wipe the dirt.
It was earlier tonight. I don't.
13th, she had her 13th birthday party. She was happy that we were all together.
She wanted to walk the rest of the way.
Check for better check for pose.
Glasses on, right? Don't they both see? Where tonight we are going to be talking about the Kouri Richins case. And if you haven't heard, this highly anticipated trial is going to be starting Monday, like a few days from now, Monday, February 23rd. And guess what? Thanks to the help of Cuff we are going to be streaming the entire trial right here on What's the Obsession. It's going to be running Monday through Thursday, as some trials do. And they are out west, so we will confirm times with you, but we are going to be streaming the trial here and then doing maybe not necessarily nightly recaps, but maybe nightly recaps, but definitely every few days we'll be doing a recap in the evening on this channel too. This is the first time we've done that with a trial, and I can only do it with the help of my wonderful moderators and Cuff So thank you guys so much for doing that, and I hope you are going to be here with us to watch the trial. So tonight we are going to be talking about the Kouri Richins case, and we are specifically going to be talking about the crazy legal show that has happened so far just in the pre-trial stage leading up to this trial, where both the defense and the prosecution have been accused of witness tampering, intimidation, and a whole host of other things that promises this trial is going to be a wild ride for sure. So let me just say hello to those of you who are in the chat right now, and then we will get started. Awesome. Hey, SB Notes, here for it. Oh, that's so awesome. I'm really happy to hear that. Welcome. And hey, Edward Chuang, thank you for being here. Hey, Michelle G, awesome. Thank you for letting me know. No, sad you guys are saying. Hey, Ruth Ann, welcome. How are you doing? And Cuff You, thank you so much for being here and for everything you do. Yeah, I know. Jen Soto makes you sick to your stomach. Absolutely, she does. Oh, what a horrible human being. And I saw Leslie. Leslie, welcome. So happy you're here. And welcome to anybody who's coming in. Again, please join in the discussion. Please say hi in chat. Let us know where you're joining us from. And let's get right into it. You guys are the best. Oh, hey, thanks so much. SB Notes, is that Sirius Black or is that another SB? I'm just wondering. Oh, and hey, it's Kathleen Hewtson. Kathleen Hewtson is a very good friend of mine, and she is a famous true crime author. In fact, Kathleen wrote the book on this case before there was even a trial date. And we will link the book, it's in the description. We'll link it in chat too. It's called Dream House. And oh boy, you know, as I was saying, this trial promises to be a wild ride. Kathleen has been on a wild ride herself, researching this case to write the book. And she's going to be coming on to be a guest on a live stream in the next few days or so. So I will let her tell the story, her story, but it's pretty crazy. Everything connected to this case is pretty damn wild. So Kathleen, I'm so glad you're here. And hey, Crash, welcome. How are you doing? Crash is coming from Michigan. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, so I'm just going to play a little bit of a video just to introduce you guys to Kouri Richins, into this case. And then we're going to be talking about the crazy things that have been going on both sides of the trial aisle, the defense and the prosecution, with alleged witness tampering and intimidation. I mean, what a way to start off a trial, right? Years old, and then wrote a children's book about grief.
Welcome or welcome back to WotC session True Crime.
Oh, don't even. Okay, so I'm going to tell you about this case. So Kouri Richins is this one right here, and that is her husband, Eric Richins. Okay, so she was this cute little checkout girl at Home Depot out in Utah. Eric Richins was born and raised in Utah. He was a Mormon. He came from a very well-established family. He had two sisters. He worked on his dad's cattle ranch, and he was just, you know, kind of a really refined LDS Western kind of guy. So he owned a stone masonry business with one of his close friends from childhood named Cody, and he's going to become important in this case. So everyone that we're going to mention is going to become important in this case because there is just so much going on. So, you know, he went into Kouri's Home Depot and, you know, he was like, oh, you know, who's that cute little cashier girl? Probably at the time, Kouri Richins was then Kouri Darden. Probably she caught the attention of a lot of contractors that came in there for their business. She was a very attractive young woman. And one of her coworkers suggested that, you know, go check out with her, sort of, you know, wanted to hook them up, and the rest is history. So they got married in 2013 and then went on to have 3 beautiful little boys. Okay. They were married for 9 years, and a whole host of wild things happened in those 9 years, including Kouri getting herself in $3.1 million of debt, a lot of which Eric didn't know about by the time he died. And we'll get into some of those details as well. But on March 4th, 2022, this handsome young man, Eric Richins, died at age 39 in his bed with his wife and his 3 little boys in the house in their beautiful home in Utah of a fentanyl overdose. So at first they thought it was a brain aneurysm. And then, you know, once they did the autopsy, they learned it was a fentanyl overdose. So many questions arose. Did Eric himself take this fentanyl and just happen to ingest a lethal dose, and this was a total accidental overdose? Or was there something a little more nefarious going on? Well, it was more than a year after Eric's death when the investigation led investigators to conclude, well, yeah, there is something a little more nefarious going on. And Kouri Richins was arrested facing charges for his murder, attempted murder, because apparently the time that she murdered him wasn't the first time she tried to murder him, and a whole host of other charges, mainly having to do with financial crimes. So that's where we kind of land at this point. So those of you who are in chat, are you familiar with this case? Have you been following this case? Are you going to be watching the trial next week? Please bring up, oh girl, I might have to wait till you're up here to talk about that. Kathleen, my friend and true crime author who wrote the book about this case called Dream House, says, please bring up the murdered witness. I'm not kidding when I tell you Kathleen has been on a wild ride in researching this case and writing the book. I've really never seen anything like it. You know, I've been with her. I've been friends with her. You know, she's written a number of books, and man, she gets involved in her true crime cases like no other. I can promise you that. But researching this case was uniquely scandalous and problematic for her. And there are just a lot of crazy things going on in all corners of the darkness surrounding this case. And we will eventually get to that, Kathleen. We will eventually get to that. You can't come in cold on that one. Cuffy says it was a third time. Yeah. So according to the prosecution, according to investigators in the state, Kouri tried to murder her husband, Eric, 3 times. Now, if you didn't see it just the other day, I dropped a video that is the complete story of Kouri Richins and Eric Richins' murder leading up to this trial. I promise you every important detail is in there. I learned from the best. Kathleen, that would be you. So if you aren't familiar with all of the details of this case, definitely go check out that video. So I'm going to bring in a clip from Law and Crime Network, Anjanette Levy, who I just love. She hosts a show, Crime Fix, on Law and Crime. And I also just want to direct you, she has her own channel now on YouTube. I love Anjanette Levy. So definitely going to check her out. We're going to listen to her reporting on some of the witness tampering and intimidation from the state. Because remember, I said there's witness tampering and intimidation happening on both sides of the trial aisle.
Trying to unsuccessfully poison him a month earlier on Valentine's Day by poisoning his sandwich. The case has captured the attention of people across the country. From the outside looking in, Kouri seemed like a successful realtor, a loving wife and doting.
Sorry to have to ask this, but is your audio a little funky, or is it my earbuds? Is the audio like kind of like that, like a little spotty? You can please let me know before we proceed. I want you guys to be able to hear this just fine. Let's see. I'll see if anyone answered on YouTube. For some reason, I get those. It's a little funky. All right, let me see what I can do here. Let me see if I can bring the video in. You know what? I haven't turned my camera on in a really long time. Let me get rid of the camera. Maybe that'll help. Definitely don't need this on. All right, let's see.
With an attempted murder charge related to an allegation that she tried to kill him earlier in 2022. And now, just ahead of her trial, Kouri Richins is accusing prosecutors and 2 of their investigators of witness intimidation involving 2 of their own witnesses. Now, I'll get into the specific allegations that Kouri is making and the text messages to go along with them in a bit. But first, a quick refresher on how we got to this point. Prosecutors say that Kouri spiked Eric's Moscow Mule with fentanyl that night in March of 2022 after trying to unsuccessfully poison him a month earlier on Valentine's Day by poisoning his sandwich. The case has captured the attention of people across the country. From the outside looking in, Kouri seemed like a successful realtor.
And, you know, for everything that Anjanette is going to tell us here, there is another crazy, salacious detail that is like a companion to it. So on that Valentine's Day, when Kouri tried to poison her husband with a sandwich that caused him to, you know, stop breathing normally, break out in hives, and start to lose consciousness, she was spending the day with somebody who in the trial, in the court documents, is referred to as her paramour, or the dude that she was having an affair with. And this was a hot and heavy affair that was timed just right with her attempts to murder her husband, Eric Richins, and then her ultimate, follow through with the plan when she did murder her husband, Eric Richins. But you know what? That's just kind of a sub story because there's so much craziness going on in this case.
A loving wife and doting mother to 3 young sons, but prosecutors say appearances can be deceiving. They say Kouri was up to her eyeballs in debt with hard money loans for her business stacking up. They will tell the jury that Kouri asked her housekeeper to help her get drugs and that she used those drugs to poison Eric because she believed she would have access to Eric's life insurance policy and inherit his money. But that didn't happen, according to prosecutors, because Eric Richins ensured that Kouri wouldn't inherit his money or benefit from his life insurance policy if he died. Kouri has vowed to fight the charges, telling a Dateline producer in 2024, "This is war." Jury selection in Kouri's case is scheduled to begin on February.
And Kathleen, I bet you know who that Dateline producer is, don't you? I know you do. Oh, should we tell everybody what I shared with you last night, Kathleen, about you're mentioning in the court documents? Let me know if you want me to talk about that.
February 10th. And testimony in the trial could go between 5 and 7 weeks. And now, a little more than 2 weeks before jury selection is set to begin, Kouri Richins and her defense team are demanding prosecutors and their investigators hand over any and all communications they've had with witnesses, including calls, voicemails, text, and digital messages. Kouri Richins' team is making this demand because they're accusing 2 investigators for the prosecution of intimidating their own witnesses. And Kouri's lawyers say they have text messages to back up their claim. In a motion to compel, Kouri's lawyers write, last week, the defense team received notice from one of the state's witnesses, W1, that she was being harassed by an investigator working with the prosecution.
Okay, so this is important stuff, and this just came up recently within the past month or so. Now, these are the accusations that the state, the investigators and the prosecution, that team, and Kathleen specifically here, they're talking about our buddy Travis, just the FYIs. One of the investigators, or some investigators, were intimidating witnesses and therefore perhaps tampering with witnesses. So let us know what you think about this. Do you think this reaches the level of witness intimidation or witness tampering? Listen to what this investigator says to this witness to try to get this witness to do some, pre-testimony, sort of shining up on what they're going to say at trial.
And inquiring whether there was anything we could do to protect her from them. The witness forwarded text she received from lead detective Jeff O'Driscoll, attached here too as Exhibit A. As the court can see from the attached text.
Oh, Kathleen, I'm sorry. This is O'Driscoll, but Travis comes into play here too. So it's more, okay, well, I just answered a question I was just thinking about. Was it specifically one investigator who's treating witnesses in this way, or is it more than one? Apparently, it's more than one. We have at least two that I know of.
The witness made it clear she did not want to be prepped by the state to testify and asked them to send her any of their questions in writing. Detective O'Driscoll responded by threatening to get a warrant for her arrest and to bring a pole for her dog if she did not come in for an interview. He also threatened W1 with jailing her. This is blatant witness intimidation, the attorneys wrote. Now, the witness is only identified as W.
Now, something I do want to say is, and now it shouldn't matter, perhaps. Let me know what you think. A witness is a witness is a witness. Is that so? But a lot of the witnesses that are going to be called by the state are witnesses who have found themselves involved in some shady endeavors. Like possession of controlled substances, possession with the intent to sell, with illegal firearms, and onward and upward. So just keep that in mind as you're hearing these details.
One, no name is given. So let's take a look at Exhibit A. It's a text message that was referenced between W1 and Detective O'Driscoll. O'Driscoll wrote, "At your request, I really need to set up a meeting with you to court prep you with the prosecutors. You are welcome to do it over Zoom, FaceTime, whatever. We just need to get you set up. Please respond. Witness one responded. You can ask me whatever you'd like to ask me over text message. I do not want to be prepped. I do not want to be paid. Whatever you'd like to speak to me about, you can send it through messages, not through county sheriffs. You guys are some blood-sucking, unfeeling people. So go ahead. What? The message below appears to be another part of another message from O'Driscoll that states, please respond to our calls so we can prep you on what you will be asked. Otherwise, the next time I knock on your door, I'll have a warrant and a catch pole for the dog.
Okay, so now you see with this witness and you know, this investigator, you know, they're back and forth. It's a little spicy. You know, if an investigator was contacting me to be a witness in a trial, I don't think I would respond to them in text saying, you guys are some cold blood sucking MRFers or whatever was said there. So you kind of have to wonder, what is the backstory of the relationship between the investigator and the witness? Do they have a backstory above and beyond just preparing this witness for this trial? Meaning, has this witness been in trouble with the law themselves? You know, what exactly is going on here? I'd love to know all of those details.
Witness one responds, I don't need to be prepped. Give me the time and date and I will appear. O'Driscoll responded, it's on your subpoena. Witness one responds, is there more an exact date or do I need to be there February 23rd through March 26th? O'Driscoll responded, we could have discussed that if you ever replied, but since you don't want to, you can just plan on showing up every day at 8 o'clock. Witness one responded, I would like it over text message so that I have exactly what you say in writing. Crazy. So witness one contacted Kouri Richins' defense team, and despite witness one being a prosecution witness, the tone of this message makes me wonder whether this witness is really more sympathetic to Kouri Richins. Defense attorney Kathy Nestor says she met with the lead prosecutor about the text between witness one and O'Driscoll, and he did not believe.
I just have to say, regarding the attorney, what a contrast between lovely Sky Lazaro and this newest female attorney. I know she's been with her for a while. Sky Lazaro left the case quite a while ago, but I'm just saying, you know, we make observations. Okay, I just made one.
Believe O'Driscoll had done anything wrong. And there's a second witness the defense claims the state intimidated. This allegation involves a second investigator for the prosecution. So to discuss these allegations, I want to bring in Jeremy Diaz. He is a defense.
Okay, and the second investigator, Kathleen, that's going to be Travis. So I think what this guy has to say is pretty interesting regarding whether he thinks these interactions rise to the level of witness intimidation or tampering. So let's just hear a little of what he has to say here.
Attorney based in Utah. So he's very familiar with everything that goes on out there and with the statutes and the laws in the state of Utah. Jeremy, thank you so much for joining me. I'd like your thoughts, just, you know, immediately your gut reaction on this motion to compel and the allegations of witness intimidation being made by Kouri Richins' defense team.
So my gut reaction is that it's not going to amount to kind of a criminal charge of witness tampering or witness intimidation or anything like that under Utah statute. I don't think it'll go that far. I do think that a lot of what they're doing is overreach as far as the prosecutor's office and how they're handling it. But I don't think it'll be criminal, and really knee-jerk reaction, these two witnesses, if they feel like they're being harassed, if they feel like there's tampering going on, anything like that, I think they should get attorneys themselves to help walk them through this process.
You know, that's interesting that you mentioned that, because a lot of times witnesses will retain counsel to kind of be the go-between with them and the prosecutor's office. And one of the witnesses, I want to read the text exchange that we're going to put up on the screen, witness 2. And this witness even says they have immunity, which you would think that maybe if this person has immunity, they would already have an attorney handling all of this for them. You know, this is from this detective Travis to the witness, or the back and forth between them. Hey, Travis, I've already given a statement and I'm not interested in talking about this any further. And the detective responds, I understand your position and acknowledge that you have previously provided a statement. However, I want to clarify that the immunity granted by the prosecution remains conditional upon continued cooperation. Declining to participate further may place that immunity at risk. Accordingly, your cooperation is still required. Please give me a day and time you can stop by the sheriff's office so I can discuss the issues at hand. And then the witness responds, honestly, Travis, everything I have to say, I've already spoken and provided you with the document for everything you asked. I have been 100% forthright and cooperative, and I will continue in all caps to be cooperative. This interview happened nearly 2 years ago, and rather than take the time out of my busy day, what further questions do you have? I also want to add that when we met, I was told by everyone in the room that I had done nothing wrong. Even so, I will continue to be cooperative. So this person's been granted immunity. So that makes me think that there was a risk that this person could have faced criminal charges.
But I mean, that's the implication, right? And if there's been a grant of immunity, there should be some form of an immunity letter. Anytime, and we handle these sorts of things with criminal defense attorneys sometimes when we have clients who turn state witnesses who have the possibility of criminal punishment, there's generally always a letter that names certain things that are required as far as the agreement goes, and full cooperation is always part of it. So to what extent they have an actual immunity letter, I mean, we just don't know, right? We haven't been shown anything. I don't know if the defense has been provided a copy of it. They certainly should have in the discovery process. But if there was a grant of immunity and a letter provided, there will be a provision in there that says this applies so long as you remain cooperative.
What is your take on this back and forth? I mean, do you as a defense attorney feel this is coercive at all, or intimidating, or, because I'm looking at the witness tampering statute, and it makes it sound like, if you were, you said earlier, I don't think this is going to amount to a witness tampering charge. And if I look at the statute, it makes it sound like, it's illegal to induce a witness to testify falsely, withhold testimony, elude the legal process, things of that nature. So that's what legally witness tampering is. But do you find that this is, does this sound coercive to you? Like if you don't do this, you could get charged criminally.
I think coercive is probably a little bit strong. It's absolutely overreach in my mind. To me, it's whatever representative it is for the state, the prosecutor's office, kind of going above and beyond what I think they should. The only thing that the witness is required to do is show up to testify at trial, right? The interesting thing here is,
okay, so that's sort of some of what's going on from the side of the state or the prosecution, as far as the defense saying that there is witness intimidation and witness tampering going on. So what do you guys think? Do you think that rises to the level of witness intimidation and witness tampering? There is much more than that, but we're just kind of touching the surface here. And that's what the trial next week is going to be for. Well, for the things that the judge ruled are going to be admissible in the trial. They will certainly be presenting them, the defense or the state will. But there are a lot of things that have been ruled to be inadmissible in the trial because there is so much craziness going on the sideline. Okay, so Kathleen, do I have your permission to link you to that little clip that I sent you earlier if I explain it? So now we're going to go into talking about some of the witness intimidation, or really witness tampering, that's been happening on the side of the defense, or from Kouri Richins herself, or representatives of her, or family members of her. And that's going to include the walk the dog letter, and also, well, in some court filings, our moderator here, Cuff You, brought this to my attention just last night, and this aired just last night on the channel Hella Excited Utterance. So let me just bring that into the stream. Let's see here. Find right where she picks it up.
Events. Next came the walk the dog letter, and whether it was attorney work product or attorney client communication, and why at no point Did anyone try to claw it back? Prosecution's 26-page motion cites the letter as exactly what it appears to be, a letter from Richins to her mother written to tamper with witness testimony, manipulate publicity to influence potential jurors.
And I'm going to go over this in more detail, the walk the dog letter, but this ties into the next topic here.
And retaliate against Eric Richins' family. The defendant wrote it because she was scared for her life. Recorded jail calls. Richins and her mom talked about the day being a gut punch and heartbreak that the true crime writer was unable to publish that Eric Richins used illicit drugs. The true crime writer and her researcher are doing everything they can to get it out there in the media.
Okay.
And that.
Okay, yeah, so that too, I'm pausing it there. So this says, the day's gut punch, and this is a message between Kouri Richins and her mother. The gut punch and heartbreak are that the true crime writer was unable to publish that Eric Richins used illicit drugs. Because, of course, the defense is going to be that Eric Richins was an illicit drug user and he procured this fentanyl by himself, took it on his own will. And the reason that he is no longer with us is that he took an accidental or intentional overdose, whichever route they want to go. Because seriously, what other defense could the defense really put up if you know even an iota of the evidence that the state has against Kouri Richins? You know exactly what I'm talking about. So it goes on to say, the true crime writer and her researcher, R.I.P. Jeannie, are doing everything they can to get it out there in the media to turn it around. Now, I just want to say I only know one true crime writer who's written a book on this case so far, and she's here with us in chat tonight, and that is my friend, Kathleen Hewtson. And I also have to say that I know Kathleen very well. I've worked with her on a number of projects professionally as well, and I know her ethical standards, and there is no way she would just try to push out information that could have an impact on the outcome of a murder trial, you know, just because the family wanted it or somebody paid her for any reason other than, you know, she's reporting on the truth and finding out the truth about these true crime matters, right? So what is said here in this motion that they're reading from right now, this showed up in a motion to suppress. It is not exactly true. Now, Kathleen will probably tell you, and let me just make sure you're not screaming at me in chat, sweetie. Kathleen will tell you more about her, you know, escapades again in researching this case and writing this book and the researcher that she worked with. And I will forever be sorry, Kathleen, that I handed you, because she went a little bit rogue, let's just say. And Kathleen Hewtson's researcher is the source of, you know, a lot of kind of turbulence that happened behind the scenes as the defense and the state both prepared for this trial. So what is said here by Hella Unexcited Utterance that, you know, Kouri, I'm sure if she felt it was a gut punch and a heartbreak that anybody wasn't able to push out the narrative that Richins uses illicit drugs, since that's the only defense really available to her. But the part that's a little shady is the true crime writer and her researcher are doing everything they can to get out there in the media to turn it around. Well, Kathleen, I'll let you address that when you come on live in a few days to talk about some of the fun that your research was having without you knowing anything about it. But let's hear what these guys have to say about it for a minute.
What is
Helen and I were talking about this beforehand, getting ready for this. That is really sus.
It's
And I'm
very
wondering
sad.
if you know who the true crime writer is.
And the researcher.
I do.
I mean, we can make the joke it's Lauren, but
So much better than Lauren Mathias. So much better.
but
I
was
I
you know,
don't know. You know, I think it's very sus. I don't understand why a
Which is-
true crime writer would be doing everything they can to get that information out to the media. That seems very unethical at
You don't understand it and you think it's unethical because it's not understandable. It is unethical, but that didn't happen. The way they're presenting it here makes me a little nervous, though. But Kathleen and I are going to set the record totally straight on this. when Kathleen comes up to be a guest on a live stream in a few days from now. She's moving right now with some sort of shaky internet connection. That's why her butt's not up here right now. But we always, always, always love hearing from her. Okay, so this goes into that walk the dog letter that was found in Kouri Richins' jail cell when she had to take a little trip to the hospital. She was given a medication. She was supposed to be taking a medication while she was incarcerated. Her family says that they were giving her the wrong medication. Kathleen, and a live stream we did a couple of years ago, I was rewatching it yesterday and seeing that Ronnie Darden was really pushing that they were giving her the wrong medication, and she had a seizure and she ended up in the hospital. But the point is, when Kouri Richins ended up in the hospital, they tossed her jail cell. And when they tossed her jail cell, they found this letter that is referred to as the walk the dog letter. And this is where just some of the witness tampering comes in from the side of the defense. Let me see. Oh, let's see. I had something on cue here. Just give me one moment. And also, walk the dog. So walk the dog, what does that mean in not necessarily slang terms, but in, just kind of conversational language? As I'm researching this, and this is what I believed it would mean to walk the dog means to sort of to overthrow the side that you would think would be the most powerful. Like, I'm going to walk that dog, I'm going to take charge of this. This is a plan. This is how it's going to go. This is how we're going to get the win. Okay. And Jeannie says, I think walk the dog just meant, Mom, you need to walk my dog. No, it did not. Let's see. Where's the short, happy version here? Oh, does Plunder already read this for us? I should probably read it myself now. Oh, gosh, I didn't bring it in.
Her husband by
Uncle of
intentionally
the
dosing
Bailey.
him with a lethal dose of opiates. Now, the prosecution's case seems pretty strong. There's a bunch of details. He suspected her of attempting to kill him before. There's a bunch of issues regarding how she dealt with money. There's a bunch of issues there. But one of the critical things is that they've got the apparent cooperation of someone who says that they sold her the drugs.
Jeff Driscoll is hot as fuck, Kathleen. That is true.
So that's a really serious issue, especially because the timelines match up with issues where he'd gotten sick before, he'd suspected that she'd done something to him. It really doesn't look good for her. But I said at the time that I thought that there was still hope that she still might have a hope of an acquittal. And I said the argument she's going to have to make is one of he got the drugs himself, or he was an addict on his own. And
oh, by the way, if you don't know, Runkle of the Bailey is an attorney.
She provided the drugs, but she didn't intend to kill him. She just was helping him with his addiction. That was what I said was her argument. And today I'm going to say that I am predicting it's a virtual certainty she gets convicted, that she has eliminated that defense. And I'm going to talk about why. So, as is very common, the thing that is really going to cause her trouble here is that she can't keep her mouth shut. Over and over and over, defense lawyers will tell you, keep your mouth shut. Don't talk to anyone. And that includes the police, but it also includes anyone who isn't your lawyer, because anyone that you talk to who isn't your lawyer, it has the potential to get back to the court. And even things you think are going to help you can really hurt you. In her case, she wrote a letter, and that letter is now the focus of some motions, some additional litigation. So the prosecution has brought this motion. They're asking for relief, and the relief they're asking for is they want to ban her from having any contact with her mother and her brother because they're saying that she wants to engage in witness tampering. And I'm going to say this is the beginning of the problems that this letter is going to cause her. But this is not the main event. This whole thing of wanting to ban her from talking to her family members is really just the preview, because the big problem she has is the content of the letter itself and the fact that it's going to be tendered at her eventual trial. When she tries to run a defense, they're going to tender this letter and they're going to use it to absolutely shred her. So let's have a look at the letter. So it starts off with,
now, I do want to say, now, correct me if I'm wrong and I missed something, but last I knew, this letter is going to be admissible in the trial. That is correct, yeah? And if so, ooh, yikes.
with walk the dog, but take vague notes so you remember. Now, Sky, they mention here, is her lawyer. So this is her lawyer. And so Sky is saying, even if the gummies have fentanyl in them, the prosecutor will say, I tried to put the fentanyl in the gummies, so Eric would have them. Stupid, I know, but that's what she's thinking. We will still test them, though. Now, here's the problem. She's putting in writing stuff about what her lawyer is saying. That's a bad idea. The only person you should be talking to about what your lawyer's strategy is with your lawyer. But so she mentions her private investigator is doing some research.
I'm going to bring this in. I'm just going to read. I'm going to read this myself. I'm feeling like read and walk the dog here. All right, let me bring this in. Stop screen, start screen, share screen. Here we go. Okay. Walk the dog, page 1. And then it says at the side, but take vague notes so you remember. I'm going to read the best I can. It's handwriting and it's a reprint. So I think I can do it though. I've read it before and I can do it again. I'm going to do it right now. Watch me. Sky is saying, and again, that's her attorney, even if the gummies have fentanyl in them, the prosecutor will say that I tried to put the fentanyl in the gummies so Eric could have them. Stupid, I know, but that's what she's thinking. We will still test them. However, she wants to link Eric getting drugs and trips to Mexico. So we need some kind of connection. So Eric would, guys, and I'm not talking letter now. This is me telling you a little backstory here. Eric was an avid hunter, unfortunately, because I am an animal lover, and he spent 4 or 5 months out of the year going on these hunting trips all over the world. And he would go with groups. He took various people, including Kouri Richins' brothers. Okay. So she wants to link Eric getting drugs and trips to Mexico. So we need some kind of a connection. Her private investigator is doing some research on the ranch cartel place Eric would stay at. Here's what I'm thinking. But you would have to talk to Ronnie. He would probably have to testify to this. Ronnie is her brother. So you see how this is how we're going to walk the dog, bitch. She's laying out the plan, but it's super short. It's super short, not a lot to it. He will need to tell Sky, that's her attorney again, at the meeting next week. Upon information and belief, just like they say, she's fancying herself a real attorney here. A year prior to Eric's death, Ronnie was over watching football one Sunday, and Eric and Ronnie were chatting about Eric's Mexico trips. Eric told Ronnie, Kouri's brother, that he gets, pain pills and fentanyl from Mexico. Wow, she squeezed pain pills and fentanyl into a really small place from the workers at the ranch. Not to tell me because I would get mad because I always say he just gets high every night and then he won't help me take care of the kids. There are pictures in my phone of Eric passed out on the floor or in the chair. So she's like, hint, hint, make sure that somebody gets those to show proof that he would just get high every night and pass out and not help out with the kids. Ronnie should have texts from Eric talking about getting high as well. Eric told Ronnie, Eric told Ronnie to keep that he keeps the pills in an allergy pill bottle in his work truck, so Kouri, wouldn't find them. Ronnie never told me about the conversation. Eric finally told me and asked if Carmen, that's CL, the person that she actually procured that illicit lethal fentanyl from that killed her husband. And Eric asked me if Carmen could get him some fentanyl. Eric never wanted. Let's see. Oh, that's pretty small, isn't it? Eric never wanted anyone to know he had an issue, especially getting caught. He always wanted Kouri to go down for him. When they traveled, Eric would put his drugs in Kouri's bag at the airport right before they boarded. That way, if they were to get caught, Kouri got in trouble and not him. I love it when people talk about themselves in third person. Once they got to wherever they were going, Eric would pull the drugs out of her bag and it would cause a huge fight. She was pissed. He would risk her going to jail for his drug use. Oh, not like she's not in jail herself because she killed him, but he would just laugh about it. Eric couldn't ruin his image because he had a drug issue. So he would do whatever he had to do. Kouri has never done any type of pills. She didn't like them. Rarely, she would consume THC only if Eric begged her to, and it was a special occasion. And then there's a big old asterisk. Reword this however this needs to make the point. Just include it all. The connection has to be made with Mexico and drugs. I repeat, Ronnie will have the messages to prove Eric confided in him about getting high. He can be short and to the point about getting high. But it has to be done. Upon information and belief, LOL. They never found pain pills or fentanyl in my house because he hid it in allergy bottles in the work truck. So this is what she's telling her mom that her brothers need to testify to in the trial. And Cody, and that was Eric's partner in his masonry business, emptied out the work truck within a week. So they never found the pills. When you talk to Ronnie about this, meet with him in person. I worry that your house and phone are bugged. Maybe drive down to SL and meet him after work. Without Bree, Sky has to make the connection between Eric and Mexico because that makes the most sense in her mind. So now again, she's mentioning her lawyer in this is kind of conspiring with her to make up this story that's framing her husband for his own murder. And then they are basically giving a script to her brothers to testify to this. I wonder if this has anything to do with Sky Lazaro, wanting to get off the case as quickly as possible. If it's Ronnie information and belief about the conversation over football, she can use that as a connection. Tell Ronnie, don't overanalyze it. It was a quick 2-minute conversation, LOL. Tell him I need him to do this. Bring me home and then we will get those damn bitches. Who's those damn bitches? And please text Lotto or call. I think Lotto is her lover. Oh, I guess we're not supposed to know that because she only refers to him as paramour. And he was the homeless handyman, her lover, her paramour. Tell him, do not text me anything about us doing things together ever. Like church, skiing, trips. Nothing that puts us together. It doesn't look good. We were so close to the end. We're so close to the end. Let's push this through. Have the conversation with Ronnie before he meets with Sky. Then tell Sky at the meeting about the conversation. Hang in there. We're almost there. Love you to the moon and just love you to the moon. And then at the end it says, take vague notes of all of this so you remember before you walk the dog. Walk that bitch. And then the final page. I saw a commercial yesterday. Utah Mortgage Relief. Google them, please. It's for people behind on their mortgage. Can you see if they can help on the Morass's house, please? We have to get hers, yours, and yeesh, Chelsea's taken care of ASAP. Try to go to that place in Camas. What about asking Lotto, that's the homeless handyman boyfriend, Paramore, to do a loan solely in his name and not have you on there? I know he can do a home equity line of credit on his house in Hideout. Not sure if he would, but I know he has like $1 million in equity. I thought he's homeless. Maybe he just doesn't know about it. A HELOC home equity. If he wants to help me, taking care of this loan is most important. I don't give a shit about the yodels. I don't know what that is. Remember, I told you one way to get at Katie, and Katie is Eric Richins' sister, is going through my phone and finding a picture of her girls, even with the boys. Print 15 copies and send them out anonymously to different media companies because Katie really did not want her children's images to be in the media connected with this atrocity for obvious reasons. Obviously, don't email the picture so it's not traceable. She's so sly here. She's like a fucking ninja. She would be livid if it got out to the public. You would just have to do it sneakily and be careful. She would try and trace it back to you. If not, no worries. Okay, so that was the walk the dog letter, and that was the letter that was retrieved from Kouri Richins, I was going to say hotel room, her luxury suite in the local jail where she's being held until she most likely goes to prison. When she had to take a little hospital trip and they tossed her cell. So, I mean, what do you guys think about that? So now when Kouri was asked about this, because, there was that motion to compel Kouri to no longer speak to her mother or her brothers, because this letter, so obviously to most people who read it, is Kouri's instructions to them as to what they need to testify to so they can, fix the outcome of this trial. Hopefully, that's what Kouri's hoping. So she says that this was just like a creative outlet for her. This is just a work of fiction. It's her working on a novel, right? So, I mean, that's pretty wild. Hey, Calista Cats, how are you doing? Yeah, reading that was a gut punch to me as well. So, and you see here, this is where we connect the dots in this walk the dog letter. The whole point of it really is to make the connection between Eric and Mexico and drugs. And Ronnie, my brother, needs to, testify to the fact that he was always getting high and that he was getting drugs in Mexico, and he kept his illicit drugs in an allergy pill bottle because he knew I'd get mad if he had them, because I am, a little, Girl Scout and don't ever do anything wrong. The whole idea was to push the narrative out that Eric himself was an illicit drug user, possibly addict. So obviously the defense is that he took his own fentanyl and he killed himself, whether, accidentally or on purpose. So now that connects right back to what Hella Excited Utterance was speaking about last night in this motion to compel, where it says a message between Kouri and her mother. The day's gut punch and heartbreak are that the true crime writer, M, was unable to publish that Eric Richins used illicit drugs. The true crime writer and her researcher are, quote, doing everything they can to get it out there into the media to turn it around. And like I said, Kathleen would never do that. I mean, all along when Kathleen and I have been talking about this case since the very beginning. She's like, oh my gosh, you need to cover this. It's crazy. I'm going to write a book about it. And we started covering it right away. Go back. There's a great playlist. Kathleen is on most of those videos with tons of great information, and definitely pick up her book, Dream House. But she all along has said that there is absolutely no evidence to show that Eric was an illicit drug addict, let alone even a user, other than the THC gummies he liked to take one of a night, just to relax and for, body discomfort, like a lot of people do. Oh, my mama, my. So what do you guys think of all that? Kathleen says here, on the other hand, if anyone reads the book, well, there's the facts. I was never anything but pro-prosecution. However, to my undying shame, the investigator I hired illegally taped calls and blackmailed Kouri's mother. Yes, this was the person that I handed to Kathleen. I'm sorry. By promising she could influence my writing. Her gig ended on this show with Kelly when the family heard what I thought and realized Jeannie had screwed them. Yeah, a lot came out on Watch the Obsession live streams with Kathleen and Kelly when that was all going down. And oh boy, there was a lot of shit to shovel, wasn't there? Oh my God, more than y'all could ever imagine. So I know you guys are so excited for when Kathleen can come up here and talk and tell more of her story because guys, it's absolutely insane. It's crazy. It's crazy. Totally crazy. Oh, I didn't know this. Kathleen says 2 more walk the dog letters existed. That's pretty interesting. That's pretty interesting. Well, since I have it up here, let's go back a little bit in Hella Excited Utterances live stream when they were talking about the walk the dog letter. Here.
We caught your people in chat from like a proper pharmaceutical lab. Have 5 times the amount.
Yeah. Or sorry, I'm just trying to find the sweet spot here. Sweet spot, where are you? Aha, there we go. Okay.
Something that came up about potential true crime writer. And this was, oh, sorry, I do want to show you that also. Look, hang on. See this? I found this yesterday. Supposedly the envelope. We can come back to that. So I'd never heard this story before about a true crime writer and a story getting out. Well, Kouri Richins wanting a story to get out about Eric Richins' drug use. I don't know if anyone in chat's ever heard about this before. This came up around the time of the motion to suppress hearings. So watch this piece. This is
issue of phone Summit County Sheriff's detective seized from Richins and whether this search warrant covered the way it was ultimately taken and the walk the dog letter. And that's when things got contentious. Kouri Richins in court, multiple motions to suppress evidence were argued. Kathy Nestor argued that the warrant detectives Maynard and Woody got did not cover the way they obtained her phone because it was not on her person.
What they did was searched a vehicle using her hands to do it, directing her to hand them something out of a vehicle they did not have authority to grab, and they grabbed it. And that's our position.
What's more?
It was give me your passcode from an armed police officer while surrounded by armed police officers in a house where after she had just been detained for 20 minutes.
Prosecutor Brad Bloodworth says even if she wasn't in custody, there was a break in the sequence of events. Next came the walk the dog letter and whether it was attorney work product or attorney client communication, and why at no point did anyone try to claw it back. Prosecution's 26-page motion cites the letter as exactly what it appears to be, a letter from Richins to her mother written to tamper with witness testimony, manipulate publicity to influence potential jurors, and retaliate against Eric Richins' family. The defendant wrote it because she was scared for her life. Recorded jail calls. Richins and her mom talked about the day being a gut punch and heartbreak that the true crime writer was unable to publish that Eric Richins used illicit drugs. The true crime writer and her researcher are doing everything they can to get it out there in the media. And
that, what is
Helen and I were talking about this beforehand, getting ready for this. That is really sus. And I'm wondering if you know who the true crime writer is.
And the researcher.
I mean, we can make the joke it's Lauren, but but
I
I
don't know. You know, I think it's very sus. I don't understand why a true crime writer would be doing everything they can to get that information out to the media. That seems very unethical at best.
Well, have you seen YouTube?
Well, yeah. Well, I do want to say that this so talking about the walk the dog letter, came out. Do you remember this, Kathleen? It came out right after that first live stream we did, because then we referred to as the mea culpa, right? So the walk the dog letter and that motion to compel Kouri Richins to no longer communicate with her family members because it was believed that she was trying to influence what they were going to testify to try to, manufacture her defense. That letter came out right at the same time when we did this live stream. And, ever present in this live stream were, Jeannie Ramsey, said researcher, and also representatives of Kouri Richins. I want to see the chat here too. So let's take a walk back down memory lane. And the recording and publication and this live stream happened within days of the existence of the walk the dog letter being released through the court filings. And to me, it certainly does seem believable that, Kouri Richins' family, especially her brothers, were ready and willing to do whatever she said, because my gosh, they were showing up in my live stream, influencing the way the conversation was going. Take a listen, along with Jeannie.
New evidence. He gets a new trial probably. But anyway, they were terrified, particularly Black citizens of Hampton. But it came forward. No,
Kathleen, why are we talking about Black citizens of Hampton? Is this a Murdaugh thing?
When I would use their name, then I'm happy to go to a county jail, though they better not give me anti-anxiety medication to protect my sources. People want to talk. They felt hurt, but they were scared. They thought Alex would be acquitted. So they were very brave to come forward. Everybody in this case acts like the rich.
See, that's the kind of shit Kathleen does when she's writing a book. She goes like cuckoo, crazy, crazy, crazy. But that's why her books are the best.
Are the Murdaughs, and we're in Hampton County, and I'm having flashbacks.
Right.
So, anybody have any questions, thoughts?
Well, let me just read a comment here. And if you have any questions, hey, Sis Vicious, how are you doing? Just like, come on in. Hey, Ara, how's it going? Welcome. Let's see. Ronnie Darden says Kouri got dizzy after taking the medication and fell and hit her head, which caused the seizure.
Okay. Well, Ronnie's her brother and a nice guy, so he probably knows. But I've never heard of anybody passing out after anti-anxiety medication. Also,
that's Kouri's brother.
Yeah.
Oh,
her brother.
Welcome.
Kouri was completely fine at 2:30. At 3, she was seizing on the floor.
That was my first meeting with Ronnie. Clearly, there were more after. Don't worry.
Wow, poor thing, man. Like,
she's not treated well, and.
Okay. We admit it. We were drinking some of the Kouri Richins Kool-Aid at the moment, okay? I mean, things were new. Facts were new. They were pushing hard. People were trying to get our attention. So that's a little bit of what you're hearing here. And then the walk the dog letter came out, and it was all freaking clear.
Wow.
The whole observation cell afterwards. I mean, that's the kind of cell they should have put Jeffrey Epstein in. Sorry, bad joke, but didn't. Kouri and Detective Woody, what's she doing there? Okay.
That's right. Wait,
okay. Well, now we're reading Ronnie here.
Ronnie
gave her the wrong medications 6 times.
And again, it's Kouri Richins' brother who's saying, and certainly he would know, they've given Kouri the wrong medication 6 times.
And I might say that Ronnie is a very nice guy and a stand-up guy, and he works for a very prominent American company and is happily married. He's a newlywed, so this has been a fine year for him. He loves his sister.
Yeah.
All her siblings are nice. Eric is not here to defend himself. No, he is not. He's dead. And I do not know, Pico, what Eric was like. I only know the pictures I have of him.
We only know that Kathleen and I love our bunnies and we love animals and we don't like hunting. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a little taste of, Eric being in the chat, and I'll put together a video of some of the things that were said by, Kouri's army back in the day, because I just think that would be interesting. So I know that you really want to watch that Dr. G video, and I haven't seen it yet. Honey bun girl, how are you doing? So great to see you. Arts our love, honey bun. How are you doing, girl? So Cuffyu says Dr. G's video on this hearing is fabulous. So I'm actually going to bring that into the stream right now. So it's the body language during the bail hearing. Is that right, Cuffyu? We love us some Dr. G on this show. I myself am a behavioral therapist, for those of you who don't know, and although that is not what he is or claims to be, a lot of our disciplines, methodologies, and strategies, and with working with people and analyzing people, I'm taking the liberty of saying this, overlap in some ways. Clearly, they do. I have a lot of respect for him, very much. I think he's great. So give me just one moment. We're going to bring in Dr. G. I think he's great.
G here. I'm a licensed clinical psychologist and body language expert, and today we're going to be looking at Kouri Richins. Kouri Richins stands accused of murdering her husband, Eric Richins. He was found with 5 times the lethal dose of fentanyl in the system and left behind 3 children. The whole situation is awful and tragic. What's a bit unusual about this situation is that she went on with her children.
I just do want to read this, and Cuffyu is a nurse. Oh, we have such talent here in chat and on this channel. And she says, you can only fake a seizure until you're taken to the hospital. The CAT scan will reveal that you're a liar, pants on fire.
To write a children's book afterward on how to deal with grief and loss, even detailing pictures of Eric Richins in the book. It's a very strange thing. Now, keep in mind, she has not been found guilty yet. There hasn't been a trial yet. What we're looking at today is a bail hearing. This is whether or not she gets bail, because the trial probably won't be until next year. So I just want you to keep in mind, all the evidence isn't out there yet. She has not been found guilty yet. But what we're looking at today is her behavior during her bail hearing. A couple of quick things. One, wanted to let you know I was recently on the Surviving the Survivor podcast talking about Kouri Richins. You can check.
I just want to read this from Calissa and say something about it. Calissa Cat says, I don't really believe in body language analysis, but he is a psychologist and seems nice. Body language experts, the behavior panel, all of that, there's somewhat of a trend these days. As we are analyzing pop culture, the social scene around us, true crime, and politics. And, from my perspective as a behavioral therapist, I can say that. I'm going to say this. There is something to it, and there is, in fact, even science to it as far as, our body's, nervous system, and maybe more importantly, parasympathetic nervous systems inform how we behave, how we act, how we express ourselves, how we move. And sometimes, especially when we are under stress and our, kind of conscious frontal lobe type mind is not in full control of the situation, can be very revealing. And there is, in fact, science to that. And more importantly to me, there is a very strong pattern of evidence-based, data-driven, replicable, and consistent studies that have been done that shows there is a science behind it that proves that some expressions of body language are reliably indicators of a certain constitution, whether it be deception or a certain kind of emotion. But I think the extreme that we take it to with, reading body language is just kind of being this niche popular thing that everybody's tuning into now is going way, way, way too far. But I do think some people are much better than others at reading and analyzing body language and then telling us the indicators they see when they do so and what they mean. And I think Dr. G is the cream of the crop in that regard. Okay, I do. I think he's good.
Check it out in the description below. I highly recommend you do. It's a great episode, and they have the best guests in true crime. While you're there, you should like and subscribe because they have a lot of other amazing content. They really do. And they cover all of the biggest and most interesting cases.
No, we're not promoting them. I'm sorry.
was taken in a senseless act of poisoning on March 3rd, 2022. His wife, the defendant, has been accused of committing this crime. If she is found guilty, she has committed the ultimate act of betrayal.
You just saw her shaking her head no. Now, the question is going to be, and we're going to watch for this, is whether or not this is more performative or whether or not these are genuine reactions that she's having. Because you got to keep in mind, she's aware that cameras are on her.
Like that word performative. That is a word that really just got heavy into circulation, and it's a made up word as far as any kind of science behind body language analysis goes. Performative. It just means that what you are portraying is what you want people to see. You're performing for them. It's performative. It's just like a little thing I have. I don't like the word performative. It's a little meaningless to me.
She's aware that people are watching. So you always have to think about that in context when we're watching things like this. Let's watch it again.
If she is found guilty, she has committed the ultimate act of betrayal. Eric is gone, and
Now you're already starting to see her lick her lips. Now people do this when they feel anxious or when they feel uncomfortable. Not shocking given the context of the situation. But I want
I'm sorry. This is just such a good point. Calista Cat says, I think maybe if you have a good base knowledge of that particular person, it may be more helpful, but we're also different, but I do appreciate your expertise. You're 100% right. In order for body language analysis to truly be meaningful and for it to have any scientific validity, you absolutely have to take a baseline of a person's behavior and their typical body language. And ideally, it's over a range of time and settings. And that is rarely done in the way that we view body language analysis on YouTube as far as behavior panel and such go. But the kind of reliable, scientific, science informed reliability of reading body language I was just talking about would be the type that you're preferring here, Calissa, where there is an accurate scientific method baseline measured, and then the analysis is done from there. Excellent point. Thank you for making it.
you to keep in mind what emotions we're seeing. Because in a situation like this, there's a variety of emotions we might see. We might see sadness, we might see anger, we might see anxiety. What we're seeing now is anxiety. Let's continue to watch.
I'm brokenhearted. He was my best friend and protector. The feeling of loss is so great.
Now, what's interesting there, she just said, he was my best friend and protector. She squinted her eyes. Watch this.
He was my best friend and protector.
She's going, ain't protecting anybody now, bitch, because I offed him.
The feeling.
Now, typically, we squint our eyes when we think something we don't like or when we see something we don't like. So it's interesting that she's looking at Amy Richins and squinting her eyes. Now, we're going to see if something like that continues to emerge, but we're starting to get an idea of some of the behaviors that Kouri Richins engages in.
The feeling of loss is so great, it is visceral.
Now she's immediately going into chewing the inside of her mouth. Like this. Now, what's a little bit difficult to distinguish is whether or not there's contempt here or whether or not that's just the position of her mouth because of the way she's chewing.
Oh, I'm going full on contempt. Forget everything I just said. That's just what I'm thinking. Total contempt for Eric's sister. 100%.
On it. Now, the reason I talk about contempt, and if you've seen my other videos, you may have already heard this from me, but we show all emotions except for contempt on both sides of our face. So a real smile is both sides, real frown is both sides. All of
Dr. G, actually, that would be contempt and disdain, Doctor, sir. Contempt and disdain, not one, but two.
that kind of stuff. Contempt is on one side. So contempt tends to look more like that. It tends to be just one side of the face. So this could be a combination of contempt and chewing on the inside of her mouth, or maybe she's just chewing the inside of her mouth to help herself feel calm. Let's keep going.
And with the sorrow comes a wave of panic and not being able to see him again. I can never talk to him, never hug him again, and never more be a part of his life. At an early age, Eric learned the joys of.
As you can see, she's continuing to chew the inside of her mouth, which just means that she continues to feel anxious throughout this. Once again, this does not mean that she is guilty of what she's been accused of. It just means that we're getting an idea of what she's feeling during this hearing.
Keeping horses and cows around. He spent countless hours helping our dad work the ranch, hauling hay, feeding the animals.
So now what we're seeing is some slight smiles, some subtle head nods. And the question is whether or not these are performative, whether or not that she is just aware that she's on camera and she wants to show these kinds of behaviors or whether or not they're natural. Let's look at this again.
He spent countless hours helping our dad work the ranch, hauling hay, feeding the animals, and mending fences. He loved our family unconditionally and was a devoted son, brother, uncle, and father.
And what we're seeing is that she's continuing to do things with her mouth. She's continuing to chew on the inside of her lip. She's continuing to do a lot of things with her mouth, which once again is to help us feel calm. The question is Amy Richins' presence agitating to her? Now, Amy.
Well, you better believe it is, because Kouri Richins thought that she was going to be getting all of that nearly $5 million estate, only for her to murder her husband to find out that ain't got a dime, bitch. And it's this one who's the executor of his entire estate, which goes 100% to his children and 0% to her. What else is she going to do when she's up there talking about how wonderful Eric is after you murdered him? I'm sorry, I'm being a little cynical, but let's keep watching. I gotta shut up.
Is going to go on to talk about something that happened between the two of them, which might lend credence to the idea that she's bothered by having to listen to her talk about these things. Well, let's keep watching.
Eric did absolutely everything in his power to provide his family and his 3 sons with every possible opportunity to learn, grow, and have fun, to share those with his sons. He had the perfect combination of business sense and foresight. He built a very successful masonry business from the ground up and helped many friends do the same.
So what's questionable and what's really, once again, even for me, it's hard to tell the difference, is whether or not she continues to show contempt or whether or not it's a soothing activity that she's doing. Watch this again. Watch her mouth.
Contempt, Dr. G,
He had the perfect combination of business sense and foresight. He built a very successful masonry business from the ground.
See, that look could be interpreted as contempt, or once again, it could just be that she's trying to pacify herself. It's hard to distinguish right now.
Ground up and helped many friends do the same. He had a special ability to build close relationships with everyone he worked with. No obstacle was too great for Eric. He simply viewed each one as a challenge. No peak was too high, and the next adventure was always just around the next bend. Words cannot describe the loneliness.
So we're seeing her start to take deep breaths. Now, when people do that, once again, it lends more credence to the idea that she's feeling either anxiety or anger, probably anxiety based on the facial expression she's making. Because when we take deep breaths, we get it.
That's usually in a response to the increased activity in the nervous system that is completely not voluntary. So it is, yes, going to be one of those strong emotions.
And more oxygen. If our heart's pumping harder, we're using up more oxygen, so we need to take heavier breaths. So sometimes when somebody's showing nothing else, they're taking heavy breaths, that gives us an idea that they're experiencing anxiety because they need more oxygen.
And loss that is felt in every heart that was lucky enough to know him.
Cuff you, just an inside tab. I was doing that a lot earlier today. A lot. I can relate to that.
Eric was such an inspiration and role model for us all. His loss. Why did Eric lose his life? Why did the boys lose their father? Was it because of Kouri's greed and desire to get life insurance and other assets?
Yes.
If so,
yes.
That is abhorrent.
Yes.
So her attorney just handed her a tissue, and I don't see tears. I'm sure other people notice this as well. I don't see her crying. Let's go back and look again.
That must have been performative on the part of Sky Lazaro.
And desire to get life insurance and other assets? If so, that is abhorrent. How could anyone value life, human life, so cheaply? I cannot.
I think most of us that see this, that it just feels off. Now, this does not mean that she's guilty, just to keep this in mind. Just because she is crying in a strange way or that she can't produce tears, does that mean she's guilty? No, but it's worth noting that it's highly unusual. I work with people every single day that cry about one thing or another. I think it's a very natural and healthy process for us, but typically tears do come with it. So I'm really having a hard time understanding this one right here, unless it's just performative.
Not comprehend it.
Performative.
I'm overflowing with grief and pain at the thought that Eric meant so little to her. If Eric had died because of an illness, he would have been cared.
Once again, you can see her shaking her head no. She's been doing this throughout, even though I haven't shown every last clip of it. And once again, we know that she knows she's being recorded. The question is this impression management? Is she trying to give off a certain impression, or is this a genuine reaction? The difficult part with things like this is that what we look for is we look for when things leak out, because people can fake how they look and how they feel. If somebody is very aware of what they're doing, they can hide genuine emotion or they can show fake emotion. So I want you to keep in mind that people know how to manipulate emotion. What we're looking for oftentimes is the subtle things that they don't know that they're leaking out.
He could have looked after him and been with him. If he had died because of an accident, people would have tried to help. There would have been kindness. But there's no comfort to be had here. There's no consoling thought in the way Eric died. In his last moments, after being intentionally poisoned, he was faced with betrayal and terror.
What's so interesting is after she said intentionally poisoned, she's there shaking her head no. And she didn't say Kouri intentionally poisoned her. She just said that he was intentionally poisoned, which I believe would be true whether it was her or somebody else. I think this lends some credence to the idea that some of this is performative. The fact that she's shaking her head no there, when really she knows one way or another he was poisoned, whether it was her or somebody else, is unusual. Let's watch that again.
Eric died. In his last moments, after being intentionally poisoned, he was faced with betrayal and terror. The thought of it is unbearable. I am haunted by the horror of it. This last year has been a living hell for our family. We have watched as...
And see, she continued to shake her head no, even when Amy Richins was talking about her own experience, which to me says it was a little bit overdone.
Living widow and victim while trying to profit from the death of my brother. Both by trying to profit from a book about his death and trying to get life insurance and assets.
So now she's doing this crying again when Amy is being critical of her. Now that's interesting because what we're not seeing is crying or tears or sadness. Oftentimes when they're talking about Eric or his past or his memories or any of that, now she's acting as though she's crying when she's talking about being critical of her. Let's listen to that again.
While trying to profit from the death of my brother. Both by trying to profit from a book about his death and trying to get life insurance and assets that should go exactly where Eric wanted them to his boys. After Eric was killed, Kouri told us she could not help us get anything ready for the funeral as she was too distraught with grief. We shortly found out that was not true at all. In fact, she pulled herself together enough to go close on the purchase of a $2 million home.
She was putting her party shoes on to celebrate that closing.
Hire a real estate agent. Hire an architect to create CAD drawings of the home. Hire a lawyer in order to file a lawsuit on Eric's trust.
So she just said that's not true. At least I think she said that's not true. That's what it looked like her mouth said, and then shook her head no. So these are the things that she's reacting to. But once again, it could be performative. If she wants to seem like she's having a genuine reaction, then she is going to do things like this in order to seem as though she is protesting. And once again, maybe she is having a genuine reaction, but there's bits of her reactions that are incongruent with what you would expect. Let's watch that again.
Home. Hire a real estate agent. Hire an architect to create CAD drawings of the home. Hire a lawyer in order to file a lawsuit on Eric's trust. Hire a locksmith to come break into and clean out.
What's interesting is the fact that she just said that's not true, or at least it appears that she said that's not true, because this will be very verifiably true or untrue during the trial. So if it in fact isn't true, then I guess we're going to see that. And if it is, it shows that she's being performative here.
Out my brother safe and attempt to have Eric cremated. She mustered out the strength and resolve to do most of this within 48 hours of his death. Kouri assaulted me. I will never forget the look in her eyes when she attacked me that Sunday morning.
And that attack was after Eric's sister here informed Kouri that, I'm sorry, bitch, you think you're getting all of his money, that $5 million, but ain't you not getting a penny of it? In fact, this house isn't even yours. And then, yes, Kouri attacked her. If you want to know more about that, watch the complete story video I put out yesterday. It's all in there.
That was an interesting look. Now, she's been looking down for the past few minutes. And as soon as she says, I'll never forget that look in her eyes, she's got some look in her eyes. Now, let's go back and watch this again.
I will never forget the look in her eyes when she attacked me that Sunday morning.
That made her very alert very quickly.
It was early and had been snowing most of the night. I was just getting ready to leave.
It reminded her she wanted to kill Eric's sister as well as Eric.
Even heading out to the car when I saw a locksmith in Eric's detached garage starting to drill out his gun safe. I asked Kouri multiple times.
Now you're seeing her breathing pick up.
Ah, excited utterance. We were speaking about you earlier. Welcome, my friend. Welcome. I'm going to email you. I don't know if you saw my comment yesterday, but welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Excited utterance, hella excited utterance. We were watching a clip from her live stream from last night with Lori Hellis on there, talking about the true crime author and the walk the dog letter and all of that. Just so you can all put 1 and 1 or 2 and 2 together, whatever numbers, put them together.
These are the kinds of things that I would be paying attention to because it lets us know what really makes Kouri anxious. Like I said, she's been sort of constantly anxious throughout this. She's been chewing her lips a lot, doing a lot of things like this, doing a lot of pacifying behaviors. But she's got very alert when she talked about being attacked by her. We're going to go back and rewatch this sequence.
I will never forget the look in her eyes when she attacked me that Sunday morning. It was early and had been snowing most of the night. I was just getting ready to leave and heading out to the car when I saw a locksmith in Eric's detached garage starting to drill out his gun safe. I asked Kouri multiple times why we could not just call my dad for the code.
And the $150,000 to $200,000 that were in that safe as well.
I could not understand why she was
Once again, she just said that's not true.
breaking into and ruining Eric's safe. To this, she screamed at me at the top of her lungs, called me some inappropriate things I cannot share with you here, and then told me to get out of her house. It was then that I told her that she could not kick me out of.
So once again, she's
Whoa, wait, you can say like the C word and the B word in court in proper context. She could have shared them. Share them. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude. This is horrible. She lost her brother. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be snarky like that.
reacting a lot to this. She's saying, that's not true. At least I think that's what her mouth is saying. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what it looks like she's saying. She's saying that's not true again. She's shaking her head. She is protesting.
I don't know, excited utterance. Is your comment performative? I like him, but he's just got the performative. He's got I think I'm going to write him a letter. I think it's going to be mild, strongly, and moderately worded, just asking him to not say performative because it's just it's a waste word.
These things are true. Unfortunately, there's going to be a trial, so we're going to know whether or not these things are true. But it's very interesting to see the intensity of her reaction around this specific statement or these specific statements.
My sister Katie was now the executor of Eric's trust and estate, and just like Eric, she would not want the defendant breaking into his gun safe. Kouri looked at me with pure hatred and rage. I was messing up her plan. I was getting in her way, and because of that, she attacked me. She punched me in the face and neck multiple times.
Now, if this is verifiably true, this is terrible for Kouri Richins' case, because what that says is that she's somebody who truly does have that depth of anger, someone who could physically attack someone else in this circumstance. I'm very, very curious.
Well, even her brother, not Ronnie, but her other brother, what's her other brother's name? I can't remember at the time. But anyway, her other brother says that, he says that she does as much, but he said that they were both going after one another, but he was kind of, standing in the middle like a manly man, just kind of batting their punches away. And, but, he definitely did acknowledge the fact that Kouri flipped her fit. Shizzle.
It's what the defense on this situation is going to be, because from what Amy Richins says, people actually had to pull Kouri off of her. So there will be witnesses. I presume there'll be witnesses.
Nothing to dig her way out of the problems.
So one thing you're going to notice right here as Amy Richins is talking, look at Kouri Richins' feet. They're bouncing up and down. She is getting very anxious as she's talking about these things. Just watch a couple of seconds of this.
On loans and is already a defendant in other lawsuits based on her financial misdeeds. I am truly concerned.
Now, I just do have to say, I think that, that's going to be a sign of anxiety. And I mean, clearly, Kouri Richins is going to feel a shitload of anxiety in this situation. Well, why? Why is that? She is going to be on trial for murder. And now her murdered husband's sister, who she wanted to beat the shit out of because she just informed her that she's not getting $5 million, but rather $0 bill, is up there talking about her however she wishes without any restriction, very favorably of Eric. and horribly of her in a way that is going to influence the court as to whether she will receive bail or not at the end of this hearing. Shitloads of anxiety seeping out of every pore of her body. I think, in this context, those indicators of anxiety are meaningless other than the fact that she is either going to be confined to a jail cell until her trial, which will determine if she maybe gets to go home, but probably not is going to go to prison for the rest of her life, if she's going to be in jail that whole time, or if she gets to go home, or maybe to her luxury women's prison for the wealthy that she was Googling before she got arrested. But I digress, as I do sometimes.
That she will stop at nothing to dig her way out of the problems.
So once again, this does not implicate innocence or guilt, but it does let us know how she's feeling, and it does give us some idea of what is making her anxious. And that's the things that we look for. We try to get some baseline, some idea of how people are feeling, and we watch for changes in those behaviors. So this is just giving us a quick snapshot of what Kouri Richins' body language is like in this context. It was actually very much the same throughout most of the hearing. Today, we're going to just stick with Amy Richins' impact statement because I think that's what had some of the most interesting content. They didn't show as much of her when there were other people talking. So I thought today we would go ahead and stop here. Hopefully it gives you an idea of the kind of body language we're seeing.
I don't know. What'd you guys think of that? I don't know. Guys, I do hope you'll forgive me for this, but something you said made me think about this, and I just had to bring this up. It doesn't have to do with the Kouri Richins case, but it is JP Miller telling us how he's bugging out on his front lawn.
Huh? Is your medication something they gave you? Yeah. You want me to make sure Mark's coming? But somebody's called him, right? Okay. All right. Hey, JP. Good. I think Mark is coming. I had him try to get in touch with me.
Okay, I'm sorry. That was an unbearable urge that I had to share that with you. It just popped into my mind. And sometimes when JP Miller pops into my mind like that, especially that particular scene, I just have to fulfill that longing. Okay, so probably better than John's feet for sure. Let's see. So, I mean, what did you think about that? What did you guys think about Dr. G there? As I said, I just think that she's going to be feeling an extraordinary amount of anxiety in that context because of what the event was, because of who was speaking, because what's on the line for her, because of what she had done, because of the additional charges that are piling up on her day after day after day, because of the $3.1 million of debt she found herself in, much of it money borrowed from hard lenders who are coming at her, regardless of the outcome of this bail hearing or this trial. There's still that. This woman ain't in a good place, anxiety everywhere, right? Right. I mean, JP, he just says it all. He's the definitive, he's the answer, he's just, no, not good. So, bring into my video I was telling you about that I dropped the other day. And this really is the complete story of Kouri Richins. And I have Kathleen Hewtson, who's been giving me a lot of information along the way. So, we have compiled most of it that is relevant. This is the complete story. So if you want to watch the complete story, check out that video. But I do want to get to the part where they were just talking about, you know what? See out was Carmen Lauber, Kouri's housekeeper for the properties that she was flipping, and sometimes a housekeeper in her. I just want to take a look into some of the financial aspects of the crimes she's committing, gets committed both against her husband and just in general, for which she's facing charges right now, for some specific reasons. So let's just watch this for a minute. Very own home that she lived in with her family. And Miss Carmen plays a significant role in this story. And when you have some heavy charges stacked against you already, you are more likely to sing like a bird. But I am getting ahead of myself. Miss Carmen will reappear in the story, I promise you. Now, what prompted investigators to start looking more deeply into Kouri Richins was when the and counts of possession, according to the arrest. I'm sorry. So what caused them to look more deeply into her was when the toxicology reports came back showing that it was indeed a fentanyl overdose, and the fentanyl was ingested by mouth, and that it was not a medical grade fentanyl, but rather an illicit fentanyl. This all pointed to something criminal, nefarious, and more than likely, maybe not even a likely overdose of that medication being taken by Eric himself. And CL. According to the arrest affidavit, when police looked into this person named CL, they found a bunch of counts of possession of controlled substances and counts of possession of controlled substances with intent to distribute and drug paraphernalia and all sorts of things. So it was not until May 2nd of 2023, well over 1 year after Eric Richins' death, when Summit County investigators finally interviewed the contact from Kouri's phone called CL. And at that point, CL started. Was that their pet, like sheep or lamb or whatever it was that was slaughtered, Kathleen? Oh my God, that's horrible. I'm sorry. It's spilling the beans on Miss Kouri Richins. CL reported that it was between December 21st and February 22nd that Kouri Richins texted a person called CL and asked CL if the person could get Kouri some prescription pain medication. The guise that Kouri was putting forth was that she had some investor that was having back pain, and apparently, according to Kouri, this investor needed the painkillers for their back pain. This is problematic for Ms. Richins in a number of ways, so stay with me here. I'm going to explain all of them. According to CL, it was from December 2021 to February 2022 when Kouri, on 3 occasions, was seeking this street substance from housekeeper Carmen Lauber. Now, there's a comment that Calissa left that I've been wanting to read, and I think this is a good point to read it because it is a good point. Calissa said she's trying to keep an open mind here, and this is a good point. Calissa says it's super common for street pills to have fent in them. People buy perks or oxys, and they end up dying because the fent is, well, at least 5 to 10 times the potency of the perk or oxy. They say, in fact, fentanyl in a pure form, you need only as much as 4 salt. What do we call that? A grain of salt, a speck of salt, 4 pieces of table salt. My God, what's it called? But that's all that you need, a very small amount. So do you think it, and then Calissa says, I think it's possible that's what happened. So that, are you saying that perhaps Eric was taking perks or oxys on his own, or maybe even that Kouri got him perks or oxys is, well, painkillers, because isn't that why everyone takes them, or to get high, and they ended up being laced with fentanyl, and that's what caused the death? Is that what you're saying, Calissa? Because that's interesting. And I mean, it's interesting. The evidence that would counter that would be, what I'm talking about right here, all of the attempts that Kouri made to purchase specifically fentanyl or even propofol in that Michael Jackson stuff, and propofol separately. She actually did see if she could get propofol, which is what, caused Michael Jackson's death. All of these attempts to buy that and then actually buying it would be the evidence that would counter theory, but it's interesting and it's a good theory and it's a good point, Calissa.
It also happens that investigators found Kouri Richins was having an affair. And what did they find? Well, on December 21st, 2021, Kouri happened to book a 5-night all-inclusive romantic accommodation at the Secrets St. Martin Resort and Spa for herself and an unidentified man that in the documents is just referred to as her paramour. That lavish trip, prosecutors emphasized, was scheduled for April of 2022.
But we here at Watch the Obsession know that her paramour is really the homeless handyman named Lotto.
The months after Eric Richins' death. Coincidental timing? I think not. Well, folks, it seems to me like we've just hit upon a motive. And while it is not the only potential motive that Kouri Richins had to take the life of her husband, let's dive into this one just a little bit before moving on with the story. According to court documents, and this is evidence that will be presented in the trial that same December, while wrapping Christmas gifts, Kouri Richins is accused of telling somebody known as Witness 8 that she felt trapped in the marriage. And according to prosecutors, she said, quote, in many ways, it would be better if Eric Richins was dead, end quote. The defendant allegedly texted her lover the next day to inform him, quote, I'm in love with a man.
Oh, I'm sorry. Josh is the paramour. Oh, I got people confused, Kathleen. You have too much insider information, Kathleen. Dumb it down for me, please.
And that's not my husband, end quote. And, quote, I want to, but can't break up my family. It's having your cake and eating it too. I do just want to love you. I do love you, she allegedly continued. From December to February, it seems the text messages between Richins and her paramour, the feelings only seemed to intensify. So it was on Valentine's Day, 2022, that prosecutors say was a day when Kouri Richins allegedly tried to murder her husband for the first time. She made him a sandwich and he immediately started breaking out in hives, was losing consciousness, and couldn't breathe. It was on that same Valentine's Day when she sent her paramour a message saying that she wanted to watch a murder documentary and snuggle. The following day, February 15th, 2022, Kouri Richins asked her paramour, if I was divorced right now and asked you to marry me tomorrow, would you? And that's when she says, I just want to lay on the couch and cuddle you, watch a murder documentary, and snuggle. Documents said, emphasis is on the original. On February.
I just have to say, I'm going to make an observation like Dr. G. I find Kouri Richins to be like the least cuddly like person like I've ever laid eyes upon. I mean, I don't like go around looking at people being like, I want to cuddle you and I want to cuddle you. Oh, yes, I do. And I don't want to cuddle you. But I mean, just when I was reading that, when I was recording this and every time I've heard it, I just look at her and I'm like, nah. She is like, no, not cuddle material. Not at all.
19th, 2022, the defendant told her paramour, I want you today, every day, not just sexually, but physically, mentally. Every day when I wake up, I do want a future together. I do want you. Figure life out together. If he could just go away and you could just be here, referring to Eric, of course, her husband, life would be so perfect. I love you. This is incriminating material for sure, but oh, I promise you, it is not even the least of it. So going back to the story where Kouri requested on 3 occasions from December 2021 to February 2022 to obtain that illegal lethal substance from CL, the first time around, CL came up with some hydrocodone pills that CL had obtained from a dealer, and Kouri asked CL to leave the pills at a house that she was flipping in this area of Utah called Midway, where Kouri said that she was leaving CL some money. Now, police were, of course, able to determine that during the time when those text messages were sent and when that exchange occurred, that Kouri did, in fact, own the home where she had asked CL to leave the pills and said that she'd leave the money. So this was starting to look very, very suspicious at this time. So apparently hydrocodone pills are of the weaker sort of the opiate-based pills. So Kouri told CL at some point a couple weeks later that the investor needed something stronger, that the hydrocodone pills were just not strong enough to deal with the investor's back pain. And Kouri asked for, quote, some of the Michael Jackson stuff, which is also curious because we know that Michael Jackson was being given a medication called propofol, which is a medication that is given when somebody goes under anesthesia, which is totally different from an opiate-based painkiller. But anyway, according to court documents, Kouri Richins was searching for propofol as well as those opiate-based lethal street drugs. Yikes. Can't wait to see how this trial unfolds, eh? That's what she called it, the Michael Jackson stuff. That's what she wanted. So in short order, CL was able to get those fentanyl pills that Kouri wanted and came up with, according to the rest affidavit, 15 to 30 fentanyl pills from a certain dealer. And once again, Kouri used her real.
I'm going to have to imagine that was 30 fentanyl pills because for $900 at $30 a pop, that would be 30 pills. I always wonder why they give that range of 15 to 30.
Real estate business as a guise to try to hide this exchange. According to the Russ affidavit, Kouri left $900 for CL for those 15 to 30 fentanyl pills. And it was a few days later on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2022, that Kouri and Eric were supposed to be having a romantic dinner. And shortly after the dinner, Eric got very sick. In fact, Eric got so sick and in such a strange way, he became suspicious. And of course, there had to be other reasons for his suspicion that Kouri had poisoned him. And he passed that information along to a friend of his saying, you know, I got really sick. I'm afraid that Kouri is trying to poison me, which is one of the reasons that we know that Eric was in fact suspicious of his wife. So, of course, this alleged attempt for Kouri to poison to death her husband Eric did not work. So 2 weeks later, on February 26, 2022, according to the Rest affidavit, CL got Kouri another 15 to 30 fentanyl pills, for which Kouri paid $900 and asked CL to leave the pills in an outdoor fire pit in that property in the area called Midway in Utah in exchange for the $900 in cash. So according to the arrest affidavit, it was 6 days later on March 4th, 2022, when Eric was found dead in his home when Kouri called 911 when she found her husband was cold to the touch. And after the toxicology reports came back, it was determined that he had died of a lethal fentanyl overdose.
Yeah, and now Kathleen Hewtson here brings up a really good point. So Calissa was asking Kathleen, do you know if Kouri took pills herself? Because she knew where to get them. Well, according to her, she only took THC gummies when Eric made her. When he made her, he'd get mad if she wouldn't take the THC gummy bears with him. And Kathleen responds and saying, and this is interesting. Well, she did make a large oxy, so not fent, but oxy. This kind of goes into your theory, Calissa. 8 days after she unalived, allegedly, Eric. And then Kathleen says, I hope they were for her because the very large life insurance policies on the children were upsetting. That was extremely upsetting. I remember when you first told me about that, I think, Kathleen, we were on the live stream and I was just horrified by it. I remember saying my son was 15 at the time, and for the duration of his life until now and forever, I couldn't imagine any reason I would take a life insurance policy out on him, hoping that if he were to die, that the child who I love so much and that I provide for, that I would gain monetarily because of that. That's some truly, truly messed up stuff. And then Calista says she's so stupid. Propofol is not oral medications, IV only, and has to be administered under an anesthesiologist or medical doctor. Ideally, it's not going to be Dr. Oh, what's his name? The guy that was Michael Jackson's doctor. And then Kathleen says Kouri was nowhere near Eric on Valentine's Day. She bought a sandwich. Okay, so I said she made him a sandwich, right? That was wrong. She ordered him a sandwich and had the person who delivered it put a nice note on it. You're right. Touche, touche. Kathleen knows it all. She knows it all. And I'm saying that seriously, and I love it.
Dose being 5 times the lethal limit. Eric died at only 39 years old, just short of his 40th birthday. Such an absolutely...
Okay, so Lotto. So you're saying Kouri left in his truck and vanished and spent the day with Lotto. So Kouri had the 2 boyfriends then. There was Lotto, the wealthy guy, and then there was Josh, who's the paramour, who was the homeless handyman. Right? Did I get that right this time? Oh, God, by no means. Oh, kill my child's pet. No. I can't even eat a chicken sandwich, Kathleen. You know this.
A tragic event. So what exactly happened that could have turned this seemingly loving wife and mother of 3 and adorable little Home Depot checkout girl into a black widow?
Oh, you know what? I just realized we're just watching my video now. Do you guys want to continue to watch this? The themed portion of the show is now over. Witness tampering and witness intimidation. But these are some facts about the case. I will keep playing it. If you protest, I will stop.
Who allegedly maliciously poisoned her husband to death. Well, we've already touched on one of the motives, and that was the fact that Kouri Richins was having a hot and heavy and active affair. But that is just a sub-motive or part of a larger motive, or perhaps one of at least 2 motives for Kouri Richins to take the life of her husband, Eric. Kouri's motives seem to be, and allegedly, a matter of pure greed. Now remember, Kouri was positioned to think that she would be getting the benefits of the $3.6 million will that Eric was leaving behind, that he eventually changed into a living trust that he put his sister Katie, 38-year-old Katie, in charge of.
And I do want to say she had good reason to be positioned to think she would be getting that inheritance, because it was Eric Richins' mother who had Kouri sign a prenup agreement at their wedding. Think about that.
What we do know is that Kouri wanted to flip this absolutely magnificent sprawling home in Utah, and check it out. Here we have a couple photos of it and the concept video that is showing what the inside of this mansion could look like. Check out all of these bedrooms. According to the house's description, there are 8 bedrooms and 11 and a half bathrooms, but these 8 bedrooms are absolutely huge. It looks to me almost like it's a resort, or I don't know, a getaway of sorts. So anyway, Kouri wanted to flip this magnificent, enormous $2 million home, and Eric thought that it was just too much. Now remember, when Kouri told investigators what was going on the evening of Eric's death, Kouri said that they were celebrating something big that happened in her real estate business, some big win that she had through her work. It was the next day, on March 5th, 2022, when there was scheduled to be a closing on this $2 million home.
And Kathleen, didn't you actually, I have pictures of you at this $2 million home, right? Oh God, I can't wait till you come up on panel. Let me know what day you can come up. I'm going to schedule ahead of time. I know everyone's going to want to be there and hear all the wisdom you have to expound. I want to know all about your visit to the whatever this is, this oversized behemoth of a structure that never should have been constructed in the first place.
So was it that Kouri had actually flipped this $2 million home that Eric was saying, oh no, honey, that is too much? It was a big point of contention within their relationship. And people wonder, could this be why Kouri turned from a seemingly loving wife to an evil black widow, taking away her husband, Eric Richins' life at age 39? Now, Eric's will is not the only thing that Kouri was excluded from. In fact, when he was alive, he had, as part of his living will, that when he passed away, he wanted his lifelong friend and business partner, Cody, to purchase half of the business with a life insurance policy that he was leaving Cody because they had built this business together. And those were Eric's wishes. Sometime in January of 2020, Kouri called up the insurance company and she tried to make herself the beneficiary of Eric's life insurance policy. So she would be getting that money that Eric wanted to go to his business partner, Cody, so Cody could buy 50% of their shared business. But the insurance company was on her tricks. I'm sure that people do that kind of thing all the time with life insurance companies. So they made sure that the life insurance policy was written just the way that Eric wanted it to be, so that the proceeds of his life insurance policy were going to his friend Cody so he could purchase that portion of the business just as Eric wished. When Eric was eventually alerted to the changes that Kouri made and attempted to make to their life insurance policy, he told his family about this. He also told his family members and friends that he believed someone was trying to kill him during this time, and he went so far as to say, if anything were to happen to him, the detectives should look at Kouri, his own wife, as being the perpetrator. So when we asked the question, was it the issues between Eric and Kouri over the purchase of this mega mansion in Utah and their failure to come to an agreement about it, more so Eric's adamant insistence that this was a bum deal, that Kouri was in way over her head, and that purchasing this mega mansion was something that she just couldn't handle. When we ask, is that enough to be a motive for Kouri to want to take her husband Eric's life? Well, yes and no. Yes, because yes, and no, because it's not quite that simple. In fact, prosecutors say that her entire motive was financial, and that she mistakenly believed that if he were to die, it would be she, Eric's wife, who would inherit the entirety of his estate. But when Eric and so long ago, I really wanted to get to these messages between Kouri and others. October 2020, Richins and her best friend had texted about some. So this is October 2020, 2 years or a year and a half, sometime before Eric was murdered. $250,000 Kouri owed Eric after taking out a home equity line of credit on his premarital home in Utah. Apparently, Eric didn't know about this. Kouri says, I don't know what to do. If he thinks I owe him money, then that's fine. I'll pay whatever he thinks, and then I'm out. It's getting a little out of hand. This is Richins' alleged text. And the friend replies, well, how much did you take out? And Richins responds, a lot, explaining that it will take me a couple of months until my investment pays out before she could pay the $250,000. So Kouri says to her friend, just got to be top-notch careful. And she said that her goal was making sure that child custody is always going to be at least 50-50. But because she is an excellent mother, you do know, Kouri Richins in reality only continued racking up debt to the tune of $3.1 million as of the day her husband died, according to prosecutors. So that idea, as she had texted her friend, that, oh, it's just going to be a short matter of time until I can pay him that $250,000 back. Honey, ain't going to happen. She had about $3 million more debt to go before she could even consider making a turn. And at that point, she
would have surpassed the status of flaming dumpster fire as far as her financial affairs were concerned. During the trial, the prosecution promises to put forensic accountants on the stand who will be able to highlight the patterns of Kouri Richins' gross financial negligence and irresponsibility that was causing her to live a lie and to hide things from her husband, the world, and dig herself into a much deeper hole financially than she could ever possibly get out of herself. She had recently defaulted on one loan and was struggling to avoid default on others. This is what the filing says. It's going to be presented in the trial. Her bank accounts were exhausted and she was spiraling towards a total financial collapse. The state's claim is that the defendant was more than likely banking on reaping the benefits of at least $5 million, which was the estimated worth of Eric's estate when he eventually passed away. But of course, the problem is, as she didn't know, the money was not going to go to her. It was put in that living trust that was going to be executed by his trusted sister, Katie. Kouri was definitely borrowing from Peter to pay Paul, and she had many hard money lenders charging her high interest rates on her tail and even suing her for her not repaying them.
Behind me stands that house that was closed on. According to court documents, the night Eric died, Kouri says she told police that they were celebrating the closure of a home that she had purchased for her business. She was wanting to flip the house. She says she made Eric a drink, went to go put the kids in bed. And when she came back, she says that's when she found Eric dead.
Yeah, so all of this combined with the affair she was having with her handyman certainly has in the past been enough to create a picture of a motive for murder for other sweet little wives turned black widows. So, my friends, here we are at the start. Okay, so yeah, it's just a lot. It's just a lot. Okay, so good news. So Kathleen and I, we're going to, Tuesday night, we're going to be doing a live stream, and Kathleen will be our featured guest coming up here live on panel. And well, the trial will have started by then, so we'll have that to talk about. And oh boy, do Kathleen and I have tales to tell. Kathleen mostly, but I have a couple. But she's going to be the star of that show. So put that in your calendars, guys. You don't want to miss that. Yeah. Kathleen says, Calissa, she make the Watts family look solvent, servicing $1,000 a day on overdraft. Damn. You know, Calissa, I was just thinking I would love to have a husband who wouldn't notice if I took out a $250,000 home equity loan. Like, damn, sign me up. All right, guys. So, well, hey, thank you for being here tonight. We definitely talked about a lot of things, Kouri Richins, and I'm so happy that Kathleen was in chat. We got to kind of touch upon some of the fun and games that we can share stories around the campfire about on Tuesday evening. So definitely please come back for that. And what is it, Thursday night? Yeah, I'll be doing a live stream this weekend. I'm not sure if it's going to be tomorrow or Saturday. I have some things going on over the next couple of days, but I'll definitely be doing a live stream. Not on this case. We're going to take a break on the Kouri Richins case until the trial begins on Monday. We'll be streaming here live and watch the obsession. Definitely check out the complete Kouri Richins backstory video if you want to know all of the salacious details that are true and accurate right now, except for me mixing up homeless Josh the handyman and Lotto the wealthy boyfriend. But that was just in tonight's live stream. So yeah, great to see you, Calissa. Thanks for being here, Ruth Ann. Kathleen, my girl, can't wait for Tuesday night. I will get word out about that now. Thank you for everything. Cuff you, Honey Bon, Edward, if you're still here, fabulous moderators. So happy you stopped by. Excited Irons, if you're still here, don't know if you are. Dr. G, I'm feeling lukewarm on you today, but that just might be a me thing. I don't know. The jury's out. And everyone else who is here, thank you for participating in chat, sharing a moment of JP Miller with me. That was just something that I really needed tonight. Oh, yes, definitely. Awesome. I'm actually going to email you right after this. I've been meaning to do it all day. So yeah, perfect. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, guys, it's always so hard for me to say goodbye to you. So I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to, I'm going to cut the cord. I'm going to drown the baby in the bath water, whatever. I don't know the expressions. I'm getting tired. When I get tired, I get loopy. Because, guys, life is hard. So please remember to be good to each other, but mostly be good to yourself because you deserve it. Go make yourself a Moscow Mule. Sans the fentanyl. Or as Kathleen believes, a cinnamon bun.
Here we go once again for a marriage, lying amen. Don't you worry, it's gonna be alright. 'Cause I'm the judge and jury, and we'll be up all night. You better check for pose. You better check for pose. You better check for
JR dead on that.
all the best things love can bring. All in the blind spot that we don't see. Wipe the dirt.
It was earlier tonight. I don't.
So Tuesday, that was the 13th birthday party. She was happy that we were all together.
She wanted to walk the rest of the way.